the sky above the alien world changed without warning. One moment it was calm and pale blue. The next moment it was filled with shadows. Massive human ships broke through the clouds. They were larger than any ships the aliens had ever seen. Their metal bodies blocked the sun. The ground shook as engines roared across the sky. Across the small settlement, warning sirens screamed. Alien adults froze in fear. They knew the stories. Humans were said to be warriors, conquerors, a species that never lost a war. Parents grabbed their children and pulled them inside. Doors slammed shut, lights went dark. Families rushed into underground shelters built long ago. Shelters meant for hiding, not living. Alien children cried quietly. Some shook so hard they could not stand. Others covered their ears and begged their parents to make it stop. No one dared to look outside. The elders whispered the same word again and again. Humans. They believed this was the end. No council ships had come to help them. No allies answered their distress calls. Now the humans had arrived, and everyone believed they came to finish what the galaxy had started. Inside one small shelter, a young alien girl stood very still. She was smaller than the others, thin from hunger, her skin marked with scars from a hard life. But her eyes were wide and focused, not filled with panic, while other children cried. She listened. She remembered old stories hidden in broken broadcasts. Messages that slipped through damaged communication towers years ago. Stories that said humans were dangerous. But also stories that said humans protected their own. Her parents pulled her arm, telling her to hide, telling her to stay quiet, telling her not to move, but she gently pulled free. She looked at the ceiling as another explosion of sound shook the ground. The humans were landing. This was the moment everyone feared. Slowly, the girl stepped toward the shelter door. Her parents whispered her name in panic. But fear had already taken everything from this world. She did not want it to take her choice too. She opened the door. Outside, the air smelled of burning metal. Human ships rested on the ground like sleeping giants. Armored soldiers moved in lines, weapons ready. Their footsteps were heavy and precise. The girl stood alone in the open space. Small, unarmed, and shaking just a little, but she did not run. One human soldier noticed movement. He turned quickly and raised his weapon. Others followed his gaze. Within seconds, several soldiers aimed at the small figure. Then they stopped. Because standing in front of them was not an enemy, not a fighter, not a threat. It was a child. The girl raised her hands slowly, copying what she had seen in old recordings. Her voice trembled as she spoke in broken galactic speech, words she barely knew. "Please," she said, "do not hurt my family." The soldiers froze. Training told them to secure the area. Training told them to prepare for attack. But training had not prepared them for this. Behind closed doors and underground shelters, alien families watched through cracks and cameras. They expected a flash of light. They expected silence. Instead, they saw the impossible. The human soldier lowered his weapon. Then another, then all of them. A tall figure stepped forward. Clearly their leader. He moved slowly, carefully, as if afraid of breaking something fragile. The girl looked up at him, forcing herself not to step back. Above them, the human ships powered down. The sky grew quiet again, for the first time since the alarms began. The world held its breath. The silence after the landing felt heavier than the noise before it. The alien settlement waited, frozen between fear and hope. The human commander stopped a few steps away from the small girl. He was tall and wide, covered in dark armor marked with scratches from old battles. His helmet hid his face, making him look more like a machine than a living being. The girl tightened her hands. She expected shouting, pain, or maybe nothing at all. Instead, the commander slowly lifted his hands away from his weapon. Then he removed his helmet, revealing a human face marked with age and calm eyes. The alien families watching from hiding gasped softly. They had never seen a human face before, only monsters drawn in old warnings and fear stories. The commander lowered himself to one knee, so he would not tower over the child. His voice was deep but careful. "We are not here to hurt children," he said. The girl blinked, unsure if she understood correctly. She swallowed and spoke again, her voice shaking. "Everyone says humans destroy worlds." The commander paused, then nodded slowly. "Sometimes," he said, "but not worlds like this." The words confused her. She did not know what kind of world deserved saving or destroying. Behind her, shelter doors opened just a little. Alien parents watched with wide eyes, ready to pull her back at using one wrong move. The girl looked down at the small object in her hand, a broken toy made from scrap metal. The last thing her brother had built before he died from sickness. She held it out toward the human, a silent offer. A question without words. The commander stared at the toy, then slowly reached out and accepted it. He treated it like something valuable, not trash. The watching soldiers exchanged looks. They had fought in many systems. They had faced armed enemies. But none of them had faced a child offering trust. The commander turned his head and spoke into his communicator. "Stand down," he said. "Full weapons hold." The order echoed through the human lines. Soldiers relaxed their stances. Some even removed their helmets, letting alien eyes see their faces for the first time. Fear rippled through the shelters, then confusion, then quiet disbelief. The girl pointed toward the underground doors. "More children," she said. "They are scared." The commander followed her gesture. His face hardened, not with anger, but with something deeper, something like shame. He stood and raised his voice so the settlement could hear. "We are human explorers," he said. "We respond to lost signals and silent worlds. This planet set a call." Alien elders stepped out slowly, trembling but curious. One old alien spoke with a broken voice. "We called for help many cycles ago." The commander nodded. "It took us time," he said. "But humans do not ignore children." The girl looked up at the massive ships resting in the distance. "So you will leave now?" she asked. The commander did not answer immediately. He looked around at the weak shelters, the thin bodies, the empty land. Human medics began moving forward without orders. They carried food packs and medical kits. They knelt beside frightened families, offering help with open hands. The alien parents did not know how to react. Some cried, some backed away, some reached out slowly, afraid the moment would disappear. The girl watched everything in silence. Her heart beat fast, but something inside her felt warm for the first time in her life. She realized something important. The humans were not asking permission from fear. They were acting anyway, high above the planet. Human scanners suddenly flashed warning lights. Unseen by those on the ground, something was moving fast through space. The commander's expression changed as he received the alert. He looked back at the girl, then at the settlement, everyone inside. He ordered calmly. Now, the girl did not ask why. She trusted his voice. As the sky far above began to glow once more. The settlement moved with new energy, not panic this time, but urgent motion guided by human voices. Alien families followed instructions. They gathered children and moved into stronger shelters near the human landing zone. Human soldiers stood guard without raising weapons. Their bodies formed walls of protection, not threat. The small girl stayed close to the commander. She watched humans work with quiet focus. They moved fast but gently, as if every step mattered. Human medics knelt beside weak children. They scanned thin bodies and tired faces. They shared food that smelled rich and warm. Some alien children cried while eating, unable to stop. The girl saw one boy collapse from exhaustion. A human medic caught him before he hit the ground. The medic spoke softly, even though the child did not understand the words. Inside one shelter, alien elders whispered in disbelief. No one had ever come back after hearing their calls. The Galactic Council had marked their world as lost. They were meant to fade quietly. The girl led the commander through narrow paths. She showed him broken homes and empty classrooms. Places where children once learned before hunger took over. The commander listened without speaking. Human scanners beeped and hummed. Data streamed across displays. The planet showed no defenses, no weapons, no hidden fleets. Only life struggling to survive. The girl asked a question she had carried for a long time. Why did no one else come? The commander stopped walking. He looked down at the ground before answering. Because helping costs something, he said, and many choose not to pay. She did not fully understand, but she felt the truth in his voice. Human engineers began setting up lights and shields. Temporary barriers rose around the settlement. Invisible walls that shimmered in the air. The alien adults watched in silence. Fear slowly changing into something unfamiliar. Hope. One alien mother stepped forward, holding a baby wrapped in torn cloth. She hesitated, then handed the child to a human medic. It was the first full act of trust this world had given in years. The girl noticed the sky darkening again, not from ships, but from distant shapes moving like shadows. High above, human sensors tracked the incoming fleet, an old enemy signature. A powerful empire that once ruled this sector. The commander spoke into his communicator quietly. "Confirm identity," he said. The answer came back fast. "They abandoned this world." The girl heard the tone change. Not fear, not panic, something colder. The commander knelt beside her again. "There are others coming," he said. "They may not be kind." She looked up at him, eyes steady. "Will you hide too?" she asked. The question struck deeper than any weapon. The commander placed a hand over his heart. "No," he said. "Humans do not hide from bullies." Human ships lifted slightly, moving into defensive positions above the planet. Their engines glowed brighter, silent and ready. The alien children watched from shelter doors. They saw a human. Soldiers standing between them and the sky, not running, not retreating. The girl realized something important then. The humans were not angry, they were protective. A distant flash appeared far beyond the clouds, the first sign of the incoming fleet. The settlement held its breath once more, but this time, no one hid alone. The sky above the planet began to glow with sharp white lines. Long shapes slid out of empty space, cold and silent. The hostile fleet arrived without greeting. Their ships were thinner and darker than the human vessels. Covered in symbols of an empire that ruled by fear. Alien elders recognized them immediately. These were the ones who had abandoned the world. The same ones who had marked it as useless. A deep signal rolled across the settlement. A voice spoke. Through every open channel, flat, proud, and cruel. "This planet belongs to us again. Prepare the children for collection." Fear returned like a wave. Alien parents grabbed their children. Hands shaking, hearts breaking. The small girl felt the old terror rise in her chest. But she did not run. She looked to the human commander instead. Human ships moved instantly. They formed a protective arc above the planet. Their engines glowed brighter, steady and controlled. The commander stepped forward and answered the broadcast. His voice was calm, not loud. "This world is under human protection." For a moment, there was silence. Then laughter filled the channel. "Humans," the hostile voice said. "You arrived too late. These creatures were always ours." The girl clenched her fists. She realized then what they meant. The hunger, the waiting. The silence. It was never an accident. Human officers studied the data streams. They saw transport ships hidden behind the war fleet. Ships designed for carrying living cargo. The truth spread through the human lines quickly. Faces hardened. Jaws tightened. Alien parents dropped to their knees in despair. Some begged the humans to leave before they were destroyed. They believed this empire could not be stopped. The commander looked down at the girl, then at the families around him. "No one takes children from us," he said quietly. Human shields expanded outward, covering shelters and open ground. Invisible walls humming with power. The hostile fleet shifted position. Weapons charging, lights building along their hulls. The girl felt the ground vibrate under her feet. She held onto a human soldier's hand, not because she was weak, but because she chose to trust. The hostile commander sent one final message: "Move aside or be erased." The human response was simple, negative. For the first time, the galaxy watched closely. Long-range observers picked up the standoff. They expected humans to retreat, to negotiate, to delay. Instead, human ships locked into formation. Perfect lines, perfect timing. The alien children peeked from behind doors. They saw humans standing tall, not hiding, not afraid. The girl felt something new replace fear, a strange sense of safety. The hostile fleet fired the first warning shot, a blast meant to scare, not destroy. It struck the human shields and vanished harmlessly. The silence afterward was heavier than before. The commander's voice echoed calmly across all channels. "You chose," he said. "Human weapons powered up together, not wild, not angry, precise and focused." The hostile fleet hesitated. For the first time in centuries, they questioned their choice. The girl looked up at the sky, her reflection visible in the glow of human engines. The battle for her world was about to begin. The moment the hostile fleet hesitated, the humans acted, not with rage, not with chaos, but with perfect control. Human ships moved as one. Their formation shifted smoothly, like a single living thing. Weapons did not fire wildly. Each strike was chosen, each target calculated. Bright lines of energy cut through space, not toward the planet, but away from it, pulling the battle far from the alien children below. The hostile fleet tried to respond, but they were too slow. Human technology adapted instantly. Shields adjusted, weapons recalibrated. One enemy ship lost power and drifted, then another, then 3 more, disabled. Not destroyed, the galaxy watched in shock. Humans were not trying to wipe them out. They were removing danger with precision. Inside the settlement, the ground no longer shook. Alien parents stared at the sky, afraid to hope. The small girl stood at the edge of the shelter, eyes wide. She saw human ships place themselves directly between the planet and the enemy. Like guardians standing in front of children, the hostile commander sent a frantic signal. "You cannot do this. This world is registered under our claim." The human commander answered calmly. "Your claim ended when you abandoned them." A powerful pulse rippled through space. Human electronic warfare flooded enemy systems. Communications collapsed. Weapons shut down, navigation failed, enemy ships began to scatter. Some tried to flee, others went dark. The battle ended faster than anyone expected. Minutes, not hours, when the last hostile ship jumped away. Space fell silent. No explosions, no cheers, just calm. The human fleet held position. Weapons powered down, shields still raised on the ground. Alien children slowly stepped outside. They looked up at the sky, and then at the humans around them. The small girl felt tears on her face, not from fear, but from relief. Alien elders approached the human commander, their voices trembling. "You could have destroyed them," one said. "Why did you not?" The commander looked at the children, gathering behind him. "Because fear is not justice," he said, "and power without restraint is not strength." The girl remembered the stories. The galaxy feared humans because they were unstoppable, but now she understood the truth. They were feared because they chose when to stop. Human ships broadcast a message across known space, clear and simple. This planet is protected. Any attempt to claim its people will be met. No threats followed. None were needed. Far away. Governments panicked. Empires rechecked their borders. The legend of humans shifted in a single day. On the planet, human medics returned to work. Food was distributed. Shelters reinforced. Children wrapped in warm blankets. The girl watched a human soldier give his ration to a smaller child. Laughing softly when the child smiled for the first time, she realized something deep and powerful. Humans did not fight for land. They fought for people. The commander knelt beside her again. "It is over," he said. She looked up at the sky one last time, at the human ship standing guard, and nodded, for the first time in her life. Night felt safe. Morning came slowly to the planet, not with fear, not with alarms, but with light. The sky was clear. Human ships still rested above like silent guardians. Their presence no longer felt heavy, it felt comforting. Alien children stepped outside without being pushed, without being pulled. They looked around as if the world itself had changed shape. Human engineers worked through the night. They built stronger shelters, clean water systems, warm living spaces. Where there had once been broken walls, food was shared openly, not measured with fear, not guarded. Children ate until they were full, then laughed when they realized they could eat again later. The small girl walked through the settlement. She noticed things she had never seen before. Smiles, open doors, voices speaking without whispering, human. Medics treated the sick patiently. They explained every action, even when no one fully understood the words. They waited. They listened. Alien parents watched closely, still unsure if this was real, still afraid it might disappear. The human commander stood near the center of the settlement. He removed his armor piece by piece, showing that he did not plan to fight here anymore. Alien elders gathered around him. One of them bowed deeply, a gesture not used in many cycles. "You saved our children," the elder said. "You saved our future." The commander shook his head slowly. "We only did what should have been done long ago," he replied. The girl stood beside him. She looked up and asked the question that lived in every heart. "Will you leave?" The commander looked at the people around him. At the weak, at the strong, at the children who no longer hid. "No," he said. "Not until you no longer need us." The words spread through the settlement like warmth. Alien parents cried openly, not from pain, but from relief. Human teachers arrived next. They set up simple learning spaces. They taught children how to read symbols, how to count, how to dream beyond survival. The girl became something she never expected, a symbol, the child who stood when others hid, human records marked. Her name, not as a hero of battle, but as a reminder across the galaxy. The story spread fast, not about human firepower, not about destroyed fleets, but about restraint. Other abandoned worlds began sending signals again. Silent worlds found their voices. Human fleets adjusted their routes, not toward conquest, but toward calls that had gone unanswered for too long. Galaxy realized something too late. Humans were not becoming stronger. They always had been. They had simply chosen not to show it. As the sun set, the girl stood on a hill near the settlement. She watched human ships glow softly in the sky. She remembered the moment she stepped outside alone, the fear, the choice. A human soldier stood beside her quietly. "You were brave," he said. She shook her head. "I was tired of hiding," she replied. The soldier smiled. "So were we." That night, alien children slept without shelters locking shut. Parents rested without keeping watch. And for the first time in many cycles, the planet slept peacefully, because when humans arrived, the galaxy expected fear. What they brought instead was protection.